Well, if you saw my video on Creedy Lakes a couple of weeks ago, you'll know that I promised a dedicated tips and tactics video for fishing at Creedy Lakes. And I'm back down here again on a filming trip for ProLogic. And I thought, what better opportunity to do the video on the tactics whilst I'm here. I've had a fish just now this morning, which I'll get out and show you at the end of this video. But for now, we're going to run through a quick overview of the features and facilities at the lake, and then we're going to get into how to catch carp from Creedy Lakes. So when you arrive at Creedy Lakes, you come to the gate and it is an electronic opening gate. You have to ring the number and they'll open the gate for you, and you come into the nice big car park. You've got toilet and shower facilities here as well, so it's a perfect venue for a longer session. The lake itself is around about 4 acres and it's really well stocked with carp and tench, and I believe that is all that's in here, apart from a few perch just to keep the fry down when the fish spawn. The average size of carp, from what I've seen so far, is probably around mid-double size, but they do go up to 37 pound, and there's lots and lots of 20s in here as well. I came here with the YouTube bloggers when we had our sort of social down here, and I think most people who caught a few fish had at least 120. The biggest fish was 27 pound, I believe, and there was also a couple of 26s and 25s. So really good average size of fish, and lots of fish as well. So it's a good venue to come to if you want to catch a lot of fish, and also a really good chance of a 20-pounder as well. So as you can see behind me here, the pathway around the lake is this nice sort of fine gravel, so there's no mud at all during the winter, and it's nice and flat and even, so you can push your bar around with no problem at all. Really easy to get around to your swims. Just make sure you bring a barrow because you can't drive around the lake. All the swims as well have got that same sort of gravel as you can see here. So it's nice and dry, you're not going to get wet, you're not going to get muddy, so you probably won't need your wellies if you come here. I've just been wearing Crocs on this session, and it's nice and comfy and nice and easy to slip them on and off if you have a fish in the night. So Creedy Lake is a really nice old mature lake. There's a lot of trees around it, which means a lot of leaves are going into the water, which creates a lot of silt. So the bottom can be quite soft in places, but there are definitely some harder areas to target as well. The margins seem to be quite gravelly, so if you're fishing close in, you normally get a fairly firm drop. But further out into the lake, it seems to be quite silty in areas, and you do quite often see the fish bubbling, which gives away, obviously, feeding activity. And with the lake being quite shallow, as I mentioned earlier, you can sometimes see them clouding up the bottom as well, which kind of gives away a good area to fish to. And the fish aren't hard to find, really. Really, when you walk around, you can generally see fish in most swims, so I don't think you particularly need to worry too much about which swim you go into. The fish are moving around in the warmer months, and there's plenty of them in here as well, so location isn't that important on here, although some swims probably will produce more fish than others, and you'll have to sort of make your own minds up on where to go. I've come in this swim, which is down to the right-hand side from the car park as you sort of come into the lake, and it's all the way to the far end. You've got a nice tree line to target on the far side, but also the open water is really good, and I've caught fish from the margins, the open water, and the far tree line as well. So it just shows you that really the location and sort of spot choice isn't that important. It's more about kind of your tactics, your rigs and your baiting, so we'll move on to that next. So rig-wise, it's really up to you on here. I don't think it really matters. I like using a D rig because it's nice and easy to tie, and it really does give me good hook holds. Now, there's no silly rules on Creedy Lake. The main one that you've got to think about is barbless hooks. So I've got a barbless chod style hook there, size 5, and it's just tied D-rig style, and my hook link is about 9 inches. Because of that silt, I just want that to make sure it sort of sits above it rather than getting sunk in. So yeah, 9 inches of amnesia, a little blob of putty in the middle, knotless knot, and then you tie it D-rig style, and the hook bait there is a little wafter. Now, the reason I'm using a wafter rather than a pop-up is because I'm fishing over small bits of broken boilie and pellets as well, and I'm sending it out in the bait boat because bait boats are allowed on here, and I just think it gives you that nice little parcel of attraction really accurately around your hook bait, rather than spodding out, making loads of disturbance and kind of moving the fish away. You're just dropping this out nice and stealthily with a little patch of bait, just enough to get you a bite, and I think that's important. You don't need loads of bait on here, you don't need to fill it in. just a little bit, enough for a bite. When you've caught one, same again, and build your swim up like that rather than putting in a whole bucket of bait when you get here. I think it'll just ruin your chances really. Might work sometimes, but I prefer to fish for a bite at a time, and it seemed to work for me. I had 7 fish when I came here the first time round, and I've had a couple of fish already on this session, so it's going pretty well. Got a little mainline link wafter there because I'm using link boilies broken up into sort of bits and a bit of crumb as well in the boat, and then a little bit of a pellet as well, which is the mainline cell response pellet, and I'm just fishing basically pellets and boilies and nothing else. You could probably use corn on here, particles, all sorts of things I'm sure would work, and really you just need to pick a spot and stick with it and keep topping it up every now and again with a little boatload of bait just to keep the attraction in the water, and the carp will find it eventually and you should have a few fish. So one tip that I would give you is to fish a longer hook link so that if your lead does sink into the bottom a little bit, you've got a better chance of your hook bait being presented. You don't need to really fish helicopter rigs on here because there are plenty of kind of firmer areas, but I would definitely recommend a lead clip just so that if the lead does sink in a tiny bit, there's more chance that you sort of your line's going to be up above the silt as opposed to being pulled into it. Right, so a couple of other things worth mentioning. If you come to Creedy Lakes, it is a 2-rod only rule, so you can see I've only got 2 rods out there, and there is a really nice takeaway nearby. I think it's called Pinar, something like that, and there's a menu in the toilet and shower, so you can get your food delivered directly to the lake if you ring them up and order it, and they'll drop it to the gate for you. We had a really nice pizza last night. I had a meat feast, I think. It was absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stuffed afterwards, and I slept very well after that, I can assure you. But yeah, if you're planning a social or something like that, it's a great lake because the swims are quite close together. You can fish next to your mate, have a takeaway, have a couple of drinks, nothing crazy, but you know, a couple of drinks and chill out and have a really good chance of catching fish. Plenty to go for here, and they're really good average size as well. So overall, I really like Creedy Lakes. Nice place to have visited. It's in Devon, which is a bit out of the way for some people, but it's a beautiful part of the country. So if you're down this way, definitely check out Creedy Lakes. Right, there we go. Stunning example of a Creedy Lakes carp. There's loads of commons like this in here. Really nice dark fish, and they do go up to 37 pounds, I believe. There's a lot of this sort of size fish, so plenty to keep you busy, lots of action, get a bend in the rod, but a really good chance of a bigger one as well. So yeah, I hope these tips and tactics for Creedy Lakes have been helpful for you if you're coming down here, but also, you know, don't forget a lot of these tactics are transferable to other lakes as well. So yeah, hopefully there's something you can learn from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.